Hey, Michael with X-Force PC. We're here to talk about the SmartFly Yoke, which is a new-ish product, and we're going to compare it to the Yoko, which is the old kid on the block, then opposed to the new kid on the block. And this is mostly about the SmartFly Yoke, but again, I wanted to compare it to what I think is the target audience for this. Um, they're both all metal designs and high quality, and I think that's why they line up well against each other. But the big elephant in the room, I'm going to get this out of the way right at the beginning, is this is 400, and in round numbers, this is 1200. So it does depend sort of on where you live and your conversion from euros to dollars or whatever currency, but roughly this costs 3 times as much. So even if you were concerned about durability and longevity of this, and I'm not saying you should be, you could buy 3 of these for what you'd pay for 1 of these. So yeah, that makes it quite interesting when you consider it. Now, we're also talking about where they're manufactured here. Spain, this is a Spanish company, whereas I believe this is India. So hopefully I'm not saying anything wrong here. My understanding is made in Spain, made in India. So there's I don't know if that affects anything or not, but just that's a difference. And this video, I'm going to make multiple videos on this. This first video is just going over the physical differences between the two. That's all this is going to be. Then we're going to look at the internals in another video, and we're going to hook them up to the flight sim in yet another one. So one big difference between the SmartFly and the Yoko is the clamping mechanism. So it's a little archaic on the SmartFly. I think what they're assuming is most people are going to screw this down in some way in their cockpit that they're using it in. If you do need to clamp it, what they provide is something you might find at Home Depot. It's or Lowe's. It's a common C-clamp, and it fits right in down here. I will say the cutout is perfect for it. Now, it is far from elegant, but it is effective. I only have one of these clamps that comes with 2. I only have one of the clamps installed, and this thing has not moved around on me. And some of that might be the result of really good feet on this thing. But again, it is effective, and I think most people are probably going to screw this down in their cockpit. Now, over on the Yoko side, they have a more elegant design. They give you a purpose-built clamp that they designed that will fit into these 2 slots, but it is not particularly effective, quite honestly. It will move around on you. See that? It moves around on me, and I don't really like that. And all the pressure is up here at the front, and so there's no pressure here in the back. And that's where the sliding around occurs. Now, Yoko knows that this is not a good clamp. You know how I know they know? It's not because they told me. It's because they make an aftermarket clamp for this that you can buy for an extra $75 or so that does a better job of holding this down. So it's pretty obvious that they know this clamp isn't particularly effective when they sell an aftermarket clamp. Now, so the Yoko has a more elegant design, but I would say the SmartFly's clamping, for whatever reason, I guess because of the feet or whatever, is much more, for me, much more effective. I mean, it's moving the whole table. I can't get it to move, whereas the Yoko, instead of moving the table, it moves itself. So there you go. There's one difference. So let's talk about the physical attributes. Both a all-metal design. Both boxes in volume are pretty close to the same, but the Yoko's is slightly smaller. The length on this one, the SmartFly, is 15 to 12 inches on the Yoko, so 12 inches to 15 inches over here. And then width-wise, we're talking 9 3/4 or so inches wide on the SmartFly and 11 on the Yoko. And the SmartFly is slightly taller. It's about 4 inches versus 3 3/4 inches. So again, volume-wise, pretty similar. SmartFly is going to be slightly larger. It's going to be deeper, narrower than the Yoko. So that's enough about the boxes. Let's talk about the physical yokes. This is an aluminum yoke here that's been painted. Now on the Yoko, I'm not sure if what this material is, but I guess it's aluminum. I looked at the spec list and then scanning it, I didn't see what this material actually is. But it feels good. It feels like good quality material. I think it's probably steel or aluminum, but I'm not sure. And very consistent paint job. The paint job on this Smart Fly is a little less consistent. But I mean, I don't think that really matters, quite honestly, in my opinion. It doesn't matter to me. Now, let's talk about axis movement and travel and so forth. On the Smart Fly, you've got 3 inches in either direction or 75 millimeters. So a total of 6 inches of travel, or 150 millimeters. Whereas on the Yoko, I measured it at about 2.5 in and about 2 3/4 out. So a little less travel on the elevator axis. And then on the roll axis, the Smart Fly it looks like 90, but it's technically 80 degrees each direction on the Smart Fly. Whereas on the Yoko, it's going to be a little bit less. To me, that's about 60, 70 degrees as opposed to 80. So a little less roll travel there. Now there's also the feel on the elevator axis on the Smart Fly. If you'll listen, there's a lot more sound, and you feel that what you would expect you would feel in the yoke itself. And I don't know why there's that difference. On the Yoko, there's a little bit of sound, but a lot less sound. It is a little further away, but I can tell you it is less sound, and there's less feel. You feel it less in the handle as you're holding on. And I have no idea if that means it's better or worse. Again, we're just going over differences. It might mean that this thing is so darn heavy duty and robust, that's why you feel this and hear this noise. Again, we're going to look at the inside in the next video so we can hopefully figure out why there's that difference. There's much less feel and noise, for lack of a better term, in the roll axis. Probably hear it a little bit. And on the Yoko, it's dead silence. There's no feel, no vibration, no scratchiness, no noise, no nothing. Totally and completely silent in the roll axis, which is a difference. Again, we're going over differences. We're going to look here at the buttons. They have the same buttons in short, same buttons, but they're positioned a little differently. Push to talk is here on the Smart Fly. Push to talk is back here on the Yoko. We have our elevator trim here, elevator trim here. They feel identical. I mean, literally, these could be the same switches as far as I know. We have the hat switch here, as I call it. They call it POV. A little bit different design. This is a flatter design. This is more of a joysticky type design. I can't say I like one necessarily better than the other. They're just a little different. We have autopilot disengage here, whereas it's on the back side over here. It's a flatter button again on the bigger around on your finger, and this is a more pointy button, for lack of a better term. But I don't really prefer one over the other. And the trim adjustment here, the switch feels extremely similar. Extremely similar. So that, I think, covers the physical attributes of these. Weight-wise, this is heavier. If I remember off the top of my head, I think this is like 14 kilograms versus 9 kilograms. This is definitely heavier for sure. It does help it stay in place when it's on the tabletop and you're using the clamp. Of course, you can screw this thing down. We're going to look at those things, but there should be screw positions you can do to screw it down, and the same with the Yoko as well. So that's part one. Also, I'll make sure to take a look at Russ Barlow's review on this to get a secondary perspective. And again, look for a follow-up where we look at the insides and then we actually hook it up in the sim.